Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast, or welcome if it's your first time here. We are pleased you are here with us, and we would really appreciate it if you get something out of this or any other episode. Really share with your friends and leave a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Heck, leave a rating and review in whatever podcast app you're listening to this in. It doesn't have to be your favorite podcast app. How do you like that?
Yeah. Just say nice things about us.
Maybe you like Air or you like Himalaya, but you're listening in Apple Podcasts. Great. Leave a review in Apple Podcasts. It'll be easier than opening another app and doing it there.
Exactly.
Kelvin, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much. A lot of energy. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in upstate New York. And I have zero complaints today. Can you believe it?
I can, because anytime you give me any complaints, I don't listen anyways. I'm teasing you.
Well, it's nice to know that you don't hear them. I appreciate having friends who can filter out my BS.
You know how we say, well, if I had complaints, nobody listened anyway? You're right.
Got it. Okay, for the record, I'm slow. I don't catch these things. I'm a lot of fun at a party because people can laugh at me because I didn't get it.
You catch up 20 minutes later, like, hey.
Yeah, I do.
Hey.
I do. Wait a minute. You insulted me 20 minutes ago. Man, you are slow. Yeah, but it comes in handy.
I did. Sorry, I've been drinking. I can't remember 20 minutes ago.
You will be. Yeah, it'll be fun. So anyway, life's good. I'm having fun.
Good.
How about you?
Good. Well, I got hot coffee and an empty bladder, so I'm good.
That's good.
I don't need much.
I'm leaving that alone. So yeah.
So before we get into it today, we should talk just for a minute. I'm holding up my fingers in like really close together, like you can see this because it's good radio. Just for a second, I want to tell you about Kettle and Fire Bone Broth. They got some mushroom biscuit. They got some ginger turmeric bone broth. In addition to their regular offerings, they got good stuff, people, that help you recover from your injuries faster, help you workout recovery. If you're on an intermittent fasting diet, then it'll help with that. Keto or paleo, they do line up with your goals. You can get 10% off by going to kettleandfire.com. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout. Kettleandfire.com. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout for 10% off your order.
Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go.
So, what are we talking about today, Kelvin?
I don't know, Josh. I think today we should talk about mindset.
Mindset.
And more importantly, having a masterful mindset.
Sounds interesting. Why don't we start with, we did an episode on, what is mindset. But you want to take us on a quick review?
Sure. Because everybody knows what mindset is. Let's pretend you didn't. Your mindset is that set of rules and beliefs that you have, which basically run your life. I mean, you do what you do because of mindset. You don't do what you don't do because of mindset. Mindset determines what you feel is possible and whether or not you'll even attempt it. Mindset has to do with how you feel about yourself and life altogether. Sometimes our mindset helps us. It helps to propel us to greatness or happiness. And other times, our mindset, that program that's in our mind, helps to hold us back.
So you're telling me this little noodle up here, and I'm putting it in my head for all you who can only hear this, which is everybody but Kelvin. You're telling me that everything I can or can't do is all up here?
Pretty much.
No, I mean, I know, obviously, there's some things that I can't.
I was going to say teleportation is not a thing we got yet, but yeah.
Well, there's stuff like that, but there's also, my brain is not holding me back from being 6'5".
No, there's a couple other things in mind there.
Yeah, that was genetics handled all that, and I'm, I can get my body to 6 feet 5 inches high. I just can't make it 6 feet 5 inches tall, unless somebody allows me to rewrite the measuring system.
That's correct. That's been done. You could do that. However, but yeah, that's it. That's it. What you can accomplish in this world, you see people who are doing stuff, you say, oh, I could never do that. Wrong. That's a belief. That's part of your mindset, and it will keep you from trying to attain that. So how do we do that? How do we make our mindset work for us instead of against us? Well, the first thing we have to do is decide we want our mindset to work for us. Have you ever seen the Olympics?
Yeah, sure have.
A lot of athletes in the Olympics.
True.
Fast. Have you seen those people on the, what do you call that? What's that long stick the ladies walk on? And nope, not the parallel. Is that
the balance beam?
The balance beam. Yeah, that thing. Well, not one of the people who walk on the balance beam gets up there saying, I can't do this. There's no way I can do this. Because if they did and they tried it, they'd kill themselves. So one of the things that you want to do, first of all, chances are, if there's somebody else doing it, if there's somebody else who has accomplished it, you can do it. If somebody's the president of the bank, you can get that if you do what they did, and that kind of thing. So the thing is, number one, really, find out what you want to do. Decide what it is you want to do, what it is you want to be, and assuming it's not, 6'5" from 3'5", if it's an accomplishment, something
5'2". Let's be honest here.
Okay, 5 foot.
I'm not tall, but give me a little bit here.
Decide, you want to do it. And then once you decide that you want to do it, then the next step is finding out how. And the mindset is a big part of that, because if it can be learned, you can learn it. So, what did Microsoft used to say? Where do you want to go today? And then let's start to create the mindset we need to make it happen. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah. Do you know who Philip Petit is?
Not off the top of my head.
This is a guy who maybe his most famous thing in America was he managed to string a tightrope between the World Trade Center towers and walk that. And he didn't do this legally. He didn't get permission.
Right.
So he worked for weeks and months to figure out how he was going to sneak up there, get a tightrope across the buildings, and then get back up there to actually walk it. Obviously, nobody can do that anymore because those towers aren't there. But there's a whole there's a documentary on him called Man on Wire, which is excellent. But more interesting, I think, is that he wrote a book called Creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got it right here. Creativity, the Perfect Crime.
Ah, okay.
Because creativity doesn't have rules, right? And creative acts don't necessarily follow rules. So I get a feeling that a lot of that is having the mindset that rules are meant to be broken.
Well, yeah, but it yes, in a way, and some though, just because, what most people don't realize is that most of us, the set of rules we have in our head that tell us what's good, what's bad, what's possible, what's not possible, what's proper, what's not proper, what's pretty, what's ugly, all of that came from somebody else. Let's go back to parents. Good start. That's our first contact with the world, our parents. And something I discovered lately, or realized recently, is that, when we're born, we can't talk, we can't have conversations. All we can do is observe, listen, and record what's going on. And a lot of times the things that we believe don't even necessarily come from words. They come from the actions and the attitudes of the people who raised us. So by the time we can think, and they tell me that by the time you're like 7 years old, your mindset, all the rules that govern your life have pretty much been set by then, psychologically. And you don't even realize they're set. So I don't like snakes, for instance. Now, I know a lot of people who like snakes. I mean, they walk around, they pick them up, they put them around their neck, they do stuff like that. Not I. And I know where I got that fear. I know where I got that belief. I was very young. My mother was afraid of snakes. My mother was so afraid of snakes that she could not look at a picture of a snake. If one came on the television, even in black and white, she would scream, close her eyes until that sucker was gone. So I don't have that kind of fear of snakes, but picking one up, putting it around my neck is not real high on my list of stuff to do. I will avoid that. Could I do it? Of course I could do it, because other people have done it. I've seen people pick them up, talk to them, put them down, go. So is it possible? Yes. Am I comfortable with it? Not yet. Not something I need to do. But, when we get to other things in life, being successful and so forth at whatever we want to do, at a job, we can learn stuff. People say, "Oh, you could never graduate from college. Nobody in the family before you graduated from college. Got nothing to do with you." But if you grow up with that mindset, you won't try, because it programs you what your limits are.
A couple of things come to mind. One is stretching our comfort zones, or people say stepping outside of our comfort zones, but I don't really think that's okay. I think we stretch our comfort zones, because once you get outside your comfort zone to try to make something more comfortable, what you're doing is you're stretching, you're making your comfort zone bigger, right?
Right.
And like something with like snakes, right? Like we might use, what do they call it? Aversion therapy, where you Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Where
the stuff you hate. Yeah.
yeah, like first you would first they'd put a snake in the next room with a window that you could see the snake, and then like the next thing, like you'd be in the room with the snake in a cage, and you outside the cage, and then the next time, maybe they let the snake out of the cage, and you'd be in the room with the snake, and outside, and then you work up to touching it and all that stuff. Or maybe that's immersion therapy, because aversion means the opposite, right? You want to wean somebody off of something. Like you want.
It's the point that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Immersion. Yep.
But they, so stretching your comfort zone. I went zip lining in Hawaii a couple of years ago. Gets you
This is a
few hundred feet off the ground.
This is Josh, the guy who doesn't want to climb a ladder.
It's true. Yep, that's me. The first, they took us on this thing where there were two zip lines, and if you bail on the first one, it's a quick walk back to the camp. But if you bail on the second one, it's a 3-mile walk around.
Wow.
So you got to be all in at the first one. So the first one's not bad. You climb a ladder and you sit back from a ramp and you run down the ramp. And it was like I think I was timing it before. It was like between 13 and 15 seconds to get across. The second one was there was no ramp for the step off.
Right.
It was just like the end of a structure. So you were stepping off the edge of something as opposed to running down the ramp.
Oh, dope.
And then on top of that, most people were on the line for over a minute, so it was 4 times longer. And what happens with this one is you go past the exit point and you come back down, and then you just stop. And they have to reel you into the exit point. And then when you get to the exit point, you have to climb down a 25-foot ladder. So you're not like exiting onto a ramp like the first one. So like the first one was scary, but once I got the hang of that, the second one was easy until it just stopped. You're like, and they make jokes with you. They're like, oh, don't worry, I have a plan. Like, and then, of course, the last person goes, because the last person who goes is a person who works for the company,
right?
Because that person saw everybody off the initial jump. So she goes and she stops at the thing, and then she just reaches up and pulls herself across the. They're like, if I had known I could do that, I would have just done that. I wouldn't have waited for you to reel me in by bouncing me over. I was already good with the thing holding me up. I know I wasn't holding myself up with my hands. So I would have been in 30 seconds faster. But yeah, stretching your comfort zone is always. I don't even remember what my second point was. I thought I had a second point when I started. You
probably did. Getting past that and stretching the comfort zones, and that is good. Now, I talk about five keys to creating a masterful mindset. But the fact of the matter is, now here is something that is true. If there is nothing in your life you want to fix or expand, you really have no need to expand it. So you don't need to change your mindset. If you're happy, I don't mean settling. If you're happy where you are and what you're doing, nothing wrong. Enjoy your life. But on the other hand, if there's something that you want to do or something that you want to accomplish that you are not accomplishing, that's when we got to work on That's when we got to work on changing your mindset. And whether it's money, whether it's a weight goal, whether it's whatever, that's where you got to get onto it. So if basically, my number one key master your mindset is purpose. If you have no reason to change, there's no reason to change. If nothing's causing you pain, there's nothing to fix, right? So if you get
that's right, but again, I would caution people to really take a look and see about that settling thing, because you might have set your pain threshold at such a point where things are good enough and you had no desire to excel or get better. So
but that's not a crime. That's not a crime. If you want to do something else, if you have a yearning, if you look out and go, man, I'd really like to do that, but I can't, then we got an issue where we need to work on mindset, because then you've got a reason. There's something causing you discomfort. And then you run it. If I like sitting on my step all day and I just sip on, well, not Diet Coke, because that'd be too big to get off my step then. Because I think there's a lot of calories in Diet Coke, regardless of what they say. I know, because only heavy people drink it for the most part. Did you say that? Anyway, but then you got something to do. And then once you decide there's something you want to do, or that you'd like to do, or you're yearning to do, then you have to develop a little positive mental attitude about it. Like I said, if somebody else is doing it, if your best friend's doing stuff you're not doing and you want to do it, and there's no difference between you and your best friend really, then if they can do it, you can do it. You can learn to do it, right? So you kind of make a decision that you're going to get to do that. Now, I got to tell you, when you get inundated by negative information, it will paralyze you, which is one of the reasons I stopped watching TV basically in 1989. Don't do it. I got off Facebook recently, right? Because, and the guest we had on last week,
that'd be Dana Lee Bagley.
Yes. Explained that as humans, we have a negative bias anyway that we have to overcome. We're born negative on purpose. It's hardwired into our brain. So we have to overcome that.
Yeah. And the reason it's hardwired into our brain is because we need to stay alive. And, the things that our negativity bias picked up, even up until a couple hundred years ago, were, oh, heck, that's a tiger.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get out of here. Or, oh, that fire isn't here yet, but it's going to be in another day. Maybe I should get my stuff and go. And today we have gossip and fear over not much, right?
Yeah. But it satisfies the need of the amygdala is something to warn us about. But yeah, now, the thing that amazes me with all that neuroscience has shown us is that something that is basically prehistoric in our brains is controlling us today. I'm like, how come we can't grow out of that puppy?
Well, we still needed it not that long ago, and some people still need it, right?
I guess you're true. I guess you're right.
There's still people who are running from tigers in the world.
That's true.
Maybe there are some
not
people
in Liverpool
who aren't running from. No, maybe there are some people on the planet who aren't running from bears, but probably should be, because bears will eat you. But
they will.
Yeah.
Don't climb a tree if you're trying to get away from a bear.
No, bears can climb trees.
Just saying.
And if a bear is too big to climb a tree, it can probably knock the tree down, or at least take you out of it. But yeah, I mean, A, we need it still, but B, like we were relying on that thing minute to minute not long ago in the course of evolution, right? It takes a long time to evolve out of something. I mean, when was the last time we needed our appendix? Our appendix.
I don't know.
Yeah, me either. But we still have it. Usually we wait until it shows signs that it's going to rupture and like rot your insides before we take it out. But we're still born with it. Like, we haven't evolved out of that yet.
No.
We even call it an appendix. We call it like something extra.
Yeah, I wonder what that name. I wonder how long it's been that, man. But yeah. So that's that. So you want positive mental attitude. And one of the easiest ways to get that is hang around positive people. Because positive people show you what there is to be positive about.
Well, what if there's no Kelvin in your life? What if there's not a...
What if there's no Kelvin in your life?
Yeah, what if...
Oh, then you
what if the only people...
VitaminKDaily.com.
What if all the people in your life are negative? And yeah, you can go find other people. If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. But from a practical standpoint, how does one...
That was good.
From a practical standpoint, if you don't have easy access to positive people or don't know where to find them, how do you become the positive person that you know?
I did a lot of reading. And there's a lot of stuff on the web about positivity, and there's a lot of stuff about changing your mindset out there. So I read a lot of books, and if you go to my site, intensitypositive.com, up there you will see a heading that says life-changing books that will tell you, among other things, the 3 books that changed my life, that really helped me understand who I was better and get positive. I highly recommend them. If you do decide to get one, Amazon will probably send me 30 cents or so. So, that is.
We'll have a link to that page of the show notes too, if you don't want to write down.
Show notes would be good.
Yeah.
But you can find positive people. But one of the first.
So what you're saying is you don't have to put positive. You don't have to physically have positive people around you. You can learn from positive people, even if they're not looking at you.
Or go find out where they hang out and be around them. Go find people who are happy about life and who are doer things and don't have the limitations you have, because you learned your limitations. You can unlearn your limitations for the most part. And one of the things that you can do, also one of the biggest things you can do, is to remove the sources of negative input from your life. That's the first thing I did. 1989, when I stopped watching television and got rid of the news. Because when you do that, what they do, you go in the house, you eat, you turn on the TV, they put on the news just before you go to bed, and they tell you about every bad thing that's happened in the world. Not even in your neighborhood. They can give it to you from around the world. So when you go to bed, you're focusing on that kind of stuff. I got rid of that first.
Well, and then worse even is when you wake up and you turn the news on and you get a
recap of the stuff they gave you the night before, and
to worry you throughout your day.
Yeah. Turn that off. That'll keep you worried. And that will, I will tell you, give it a week without listening to the news. You'll feel better because you won't have all that poison being shoved.
You can actually check the weather without getting news. Didn't used to be the case in like 1988.
If you got a smartphone, there's an app.
Built in. Like you probably don't even have to go find one.
What's the temperature? Right there. Good. So the only bad news you might get is if you're in the middle of a hurricane, but chances are you're in upstate New York, that's not going to happen.
Well, and chances are if you're in the middle of a hurricane, you saw that out your window.
That's true. See, so no big deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you got to open the app to find out if you're wearing a sweater today.
Yeah, there you go. And I listen to a lot of audio tapes. I listen to people who have accomplished things, who have good attitudes, and find out how they develop them. And, there is someone in pretty much every walk of life who has overcome negative conditions. Listen to those. Listen to the things of people who have won and changed their mindset and moved forward to find out that you can do it. There is somebody who's just like you, probably from your neighborhood, your state, who has done something you want to do and will tell you how they could do it. That's just, but you got to look for it, and you got to give yourself permission to absorb it.
And here's a trick of the amygdala that helps. If you can find those people, if they come from your neighborhood or went to your college, or they served in the same branch of the armed forces as you.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tribe trigger.
Really?
So if you have something in common with them, they're more likely to help you. They're more likely to be willing to help.
Oh, cool. Tribes. That is awesome. So check out those 3 books that changed my life. And then look for other books like that. Go to the web, type in Positive Mental Attitude, check it out. And just read something. Great books. How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I read a lot of those books. I used to be a jerk, by the way. Did you know that?
Impossible.
At least people told me I was a jerk. I didn't know how to get along with people. I had to learn how to get along with people. The Magic of Thinking Big. It's great books for that. Robert Schuller, I think, is the one who did that. Don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of that. And there are other books and there are books that teach you about the self-image and why you can change it. And once you've started moving towards a positive and doing things positively and read empowering information, this is stuff that tells you what you can do versus what you can't do. Then my next step is to become a possibilitizer.
Did you say become a possibilitizer?
I did.
Okay. English major here. Not a word. You're going to have to explain that to me.
Oh, man. If I can say you had to become a possibilitizer, that won't work. Besides, a possibilitizer, you make up words.
Become a possibilitizer isn't a word either.
I'm sorry. Look that up. I'll bet you'll find it somewhere. If you put it in Google, I bet you'll find it. However,
I'll find it on your site.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's a word. It's a concept.
Okay.
Like
I said, just explain it to me.
Follower. We make those up. Webster allows for that. I'll check. I'll look for the. I'll work for the. But it's a message. Call it a message. A possibilitizer, because you need to start thinking in possibilities.
That one's a word. I know that one.
Yeah. You need to think, but become a possibilitizer is less words, gets to some message across. So instead of saying why you can't, say stuff like what if? What if I could do that? What if I could walk that beam? Ooh. What if I could touch that snake next year?
I got to tell you, I'm more interested in watching you walk that balance beam than touch that snake.
As long as I don't have to do any flips, I might work it out. All right. Or imagine if, one of the biggest things, Einstein says imagination is more powerful than anything. Allow yourself to imagine being or becoming the thing that you want to be. You want to be more popular? Imagine being more. What would that feel like? Now, what do you have to do to get there? And get used to that. imagine if, wow, what's it going to feel like when I get an A on that test? What's it going to feel like when I finish that degree program? What's it going to feel like when I learn to ride that bike? How about the first time you swim across the pool? I, in my youth, was affectionately known as the Rock of Gibraltar. Mostly because every time I got into water, I found the lowest point of the container it was in. In a 9-foot pool, that's not good. I just used to sink.
There is a condition. I learned about it. I heard about this in a book. There is a condition where people just have just such a body density and a body chemistry that they are less buoyant than others.
I wasn't buoyant at all, and I wasn't in a creative shape. But I did learn. As a matter of fact, I remember being taught, and they had me lay back. I was in eighth grade, 3 feet of water. I laid back, went out in the water, started make those glub glub noises and flashing my arms, and a guy who was there with me said, stand up. Huh? Stand up. Oh. Okay. Then I felt really, really stupid. But I wasn't dying anymore. You know what I mean? But you don't think about stuff that when the fear takes over.
When I dragged you to that float tank, did you float in that?
Are you asking me, did I actually lay down in the water, or did I stand up until you couldn't see me no more? No. I actually laid in that. That was good. I never really got comfortable with it, but I did float. From what I hear, it's hard to have that much salt in the water and not float. But
13 inches of water, 1,000 pounds of salt. It'll do.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I did float. I had to shower later too because I turned all ashy and stuff. But be a possibilitizer, right? What if? And again, if someone else has done it, you can probably do it.
So you mentioned Einstein in that segment there. He did some stuff nobody else had ever done.
Yes, he did.
Created possibilities that guy did.
I mean, the fact that everything he did was possibilities. I mean, when you come up with a concept that says, gee, what if I was sitting on the edge of a beam of light and traveling with it? Who would think like that? Besides Einstein. I'm sure he might have had
there are a few people, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Then he just figured out how to figure out the calculations.
And he put that in a mathematic thing. Now, probably everybody can't do that. But he's not the only one. There are other people out there who do that kind of thing.
Everybody can do that, right?
Huh?
Everybody can do that. They might not have the knowledge inside their head, but they could learn stuff.
Yeah, he learned it. I bought the Einstein's theory of relativity. I'm going to get more. I'm going to get more into that. But can you imagine all his buddies when he was coming up with that going, dude, what are you smoking?
No, they were probably all. He was hanging out with. That's a guy who had a mastermind around him. He was hanging out with creatives, a lot of times, and he was hanging out with other smart people who wanted to figure out how to do stuff that nobody else had done.
There is that.
Yeah, and their own
possibilitize and hang out with people who are already doing what you want to do because they've done it. It's got to make the possibilities up. And sometimes we take a look at where we are and we go like, oh, I'm too far back. Well, I like to, for positive mindset, I also like to do in almost any situation in life, it could always be worse. I like using perspective to go, I'm not as bad off as I could be. I mean, there are others who are in worse shape than me, who are in worse circumstances than me. And I don't know.
Comparison is not always a bad thing.
Right.
Sometimes it can tell you how much better you had it than you thought you did.
Yep. So once you realize you don't have it the worst you can, and this is just to get the mindset, you're not the worst there is in the world, and there are possibilities that you haven't looked at before, and you've got a positive mindset going, yeah, I can do that. I can learn that. I can take the steps it takes to get there. And you've got a purpose to do it. Then you just practice. Practice. From what I understand, there is no Olympic athlete that just got up, walked across from the womb, went out there and won the Olympics. All that stuff took work.
That's right.
And anything else you want to do. So there's always people say, I can't do this. But again, somebody's already.
How do you know? Have you tried?
Have you tried? And have you tried for real? I used to do things and I'd say I tried, but I really didn't. You know, I pretended to try. And you can tell. I used to say
you tried to do the master level thing without ever having
with an apprentice mindset. Yeah.
Well, not even with an apprentice mindset, with just an apprentice skill set.
Or that, yeah. Yeah, same, yeah.
Did you ever try to walk across the balance beam? Yeah, I got up there.
2 steps.
I got up there and I fell off of it.
Yeah. Do not do it with slippery stuff on your feet. Painful. Don't do that.
Also, probably don't do it when you've been drinking either, just for the record.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't speak from experience. No, I don't.
Exactly. So that's basically that's me for a positive mindset. You know, figure out you got a reason for it, and everybody has a reason for it because things happen. Everything that's around you, everything that you use was created by somebody who thought it could be done. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, forgiving for a couple of happy accidents.
Got one in mind?
No, but probably something like nuclear
Velcro,
fusion. Yeah. Yeah, there are things that are like duct tape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they were still on their way to something.
Right.
And got something else in the middle. Right.
Like, I didn't think this was possible, but apparently it is. I was trying to do something else and got this instead. Sometimes
the stuff you create on the way to where you want to go is also good. I think if, an awful lot of stuff we have in the world has come out of, I understand, either the race car industry or the military. GPS is out of the military. We all love it.
Well, and I mean, NASCAR came out of bootlegging.
There's all kinds of possibilities. You just have to be willing to embrace them. Embrace them. And then work towards them. And who?
I said true dat.
True dat.
True dat.
Ooh, where'd you learn that? Was that a verb? No, sorry. What do you think? Does that make sense?
Well, I think we understand a little better how to master our mindsets. So a bunch of links in this episode. You can get them at jkwdpodcast.com. You don't have to go back and listen and write them all down. We'll have those for you. What else? If you want some good old bone broth and soups and all that stuff, go to kettleandfire.com, fill up your box, use code BetterHumanhood at checkout for 10% off your order. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye. Happy mindset.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye. a Better Humanhood production.